Gentleman from New York, Mr. Garbarino is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Gensler, thanks for coming today. Financial services sector and the Biden administration have made harmonization of cyber incident reporting a top priority. In fact, the Department of Homeland Security Cyber Incident Reporting Council's recently recommended the federal government coordinate among themselves to reduce the burden on the reporting entity. But instead of reducing the burden, the SEC has finalized rules that CERC has called duplicative cross-sector reporting requirements and that overlap with congressionally mandated Cyber Incident Reporting for Critical Infrastructure Act, the CIRCIA. Given the Council's designation, why didn't the SEC harmonize its cybersecurity disclosure requirements with existing regulations, and more importantly, wait until the Department of Homeland Security and CISAs developed the rulemaking under the recent signed into law CIRCIA?
One, we've had good discussions with the Department of Homeland Security, but we finalized the corporate disclosure piece because it was important for the public investors to know if there had been a material cyber breach.
Is it more important? Is investor information more important than Homeland Security? Well, and I asked that question because the reason we want to harmonize, and the reason we as a Congress have said harmonize, and the reason the Biden administration has said harmonize these incident reporting rules, is because we've heard from the private sector that their cyber employees are spending 40 to 50% of their time, and we've spoken about this before, on complying with cyber regulations, not just yours, but with all sorts of different cyber regulations. So and we talked about this last time we were here, specifically the rule that was just finalized in July, and you said at that time you've been having good discussions with DHS. But again, this rule came out, and and DHS said, I quote, that this current rule is duplicative cross-sector reporting. It's a duplicative cross-sector reporting requirement. So even though you've had good conversations, I guess they didn't lead anywhere because you still came out with the rule.
Actually, they did, because it's only reporting to the public if it's a material cyber event. It's 4 business days, which actually is longer than the CIRCIA 72 hours. And thirdly, has important considerations in there that if the Department of Justice thinks for national security or public safety it should be delayed, it will be delayed.
It is longer. 4 days is longer, but within a material breach, there's different requirements there. So I have to ask, because there's also a concern that you have companies that are reporting a possible material cybersecurity breach that might not have been able to fix that breach. And if they're publicly reporting it, it could, one, put that company at further risk, or two, put other companies who are using the same system, and the same backdoor can be found in their system. We just saw over the summer a company, there was an attack on a company. They announced this attack before the patch was released, and you saw other companies and 3 federal agencies get hacked under the same vulnerability. So I'm concerned that having this public reporting before the breach is fixed, before the patch is fixed, is going to cause more harm than good. And I'm not saying don't regulate cybersecurity. I think it's very important. I just think when our goal is harmonization, when the Biden administration's goal is harmonization, when everybody is saying harmonization, having these rules come out that are just going to be duplicative and cause more harm on the companies that are supposed to be protecting information is not a great idea. I'm running out of time, so I do want to move on to something else. Between 2019 and 2022, the annual cost of operating a consolidated audit trail, or CAT, increased by 900%. In March, CAT unveiled a 2023 budget exceeding $223 million, which is 10% of the SEC's entire budget. The SEC recently approved a funding model that would pass nearly all these costs on to market participants. What is the SEC doing to control the costs of CAT? I understand SROs control and operate them, or own and operate, but it's under your umbrella. I need to know what you're doing to control those costs and if you would support moving CAT onto the SEC's budget.
I don't know, Mr. Chair, what you're going to tell me.
If the gentleman would respond in written form to the gentleman's question. And I appreciate the gentleman's
Thank you.
leadership in cybersecurity issues, the WIGWIM protocols, and the work he's put in
WIGWIM,
over
yes.
the years on those policies. He's worked in other committees. So
And WIMWIC is very important.
we'll now